They're releasing a remote controlled AT-AT.
Are they really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
you control it with your iPhone and it walks around.
That is pretty nice. So, um, I'm ready to go on this side. Um, I think I'm just about set up. Let's see. So I got it recording, so that's going. I got my iPad out so I can type on it without like hearing that.
Ow.
Yeah.
So, are we just gonna talk about the movie and crap?
Yeah, we could talk about that. We could talk about crap.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really care. I think we should just kind of let it go. I mean, if anything, what we could do is just keep this going and then just, I don't know, talk and then choose a starting point later.
No, that works.
Yeah.
Did we come up with a name for this stupid thing yet?
I was just for now calling it ZagLine unless we think of something different. I like, I mean, before my machine lagged when I was showing you, the album artwork that I had where it has the ZagLine logo in the corner. I was thinking maybe if we came up with a different title, we could put the title there. But I'm not really picky or married to that idea. But it would, it'd have the logo and then whatever the podcast name's actually called. So if this actually makes it into the final episode, yes, we are this unprepared.
That I get, yeah. Okay. Are you recording right now?
I've been recording this entire thing,
That's good. That's a good intro for the podcast right there.
right? I feel like they'd like that too.
Yeah, because we totally came prepared.
No, well, I mean, yeah, that's lesson one of the internet, right? Always be prepared for what you're going to be saying and doing.
Yeah, that and just make up stuff and people will believe you.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So, you have now seen it twice. So now that we are actually recording, what did you think of Rogue One?
I have seen it twice. I just got out of it about an hour ago
Yeah,
for the
bastard.
second time. Um, it was interesting gauging audience reactions in both shows because the first time when we went and saw it on Thursday, it was one of those don't blink or you'll miss it, and everything's just going by so quick that it's just like, oh, this is so awesome. But then I was thinking, you know, I'm gonna say it's awesome because it was the first time I've seen new Star Wars in a year, and it was good. And going to it the second time, I watched it with a more critical eye, looking for flaws and things that people had been complaining about, and realized that the people who were complaining about that stuff just missed. They weren't paying attention in the movie.
Yeah. Well, I
So
mean,
it's
that's kind of how we felt about Force Awakens. I think last year we went and saw it. Is we sat down, we watched it the first time, and we went out of there thinking that was like the perfect Star Wars movie, and we couldn't find anything wrong with it. We were just pumped on it, but that was because we had that one watch through, and we didn't get to actually look for anything.
Yeah, but unlike Rogue One, I felt Force Awakens got weaker on repeated viewings.
Yeah, and I did too, which is why I only saw it four times.
Not counting the DVD
That's
and all
yeah,
that.
yeah. I may have to go see Rogue One like six times now, but we'll see after the second and third viewing. So, what did you find in this second viewing?
Well, the main complaint that people had given in various forums that I read and Facebook groups that I'm a part of was that the characters weren't that good.
I kind of see what they're talking about, but I don't think they weren't good. I think it was more along the lines of they're not a. I mean, they're totally different types of characters than we've ever seen in a Star Wars movie, and I think a
Exactly.
lot of it is because, I mean, I think a lot of it is the fact that they know that they're not going to have another movie to explain more about each other. And so, for example, we didn't have a lot of expositional like backstory or anything in this movie. We just had uh, maybe like little bits here and there, like with Jin.
Well, before we
We
say
saw
anything, we
her
should also
backstory.
say that spoilers.
Oh
If you
yeah,
haven't seen the movie, you should probably go watch it before you listen to this podcast because we're pretty much going to be talking about the movie.
oh yeah, and I'll put spoiler alerts like all over the place too in the episode description.
All right.
So if
Anyway,
by now you've made it, well, it's your fault. um, but yeah, I mean, like we got Jin's backstory, right? Because she's she's like the main character, I guess. But we didn't really get anyone else's backstory, and I think a lot of people might feel cheated by that. But I kind of like it because it let us focus on what really mattered, which was this story. You know,
well, when you look at the original Star Wars, you didn't get Han or Leia's backstory.
and that's another argument toward that is like okay, they're different types of characters, and well, that was at least the complaint that I heard a lot was we didn't get a lot of more details about everyone else, and I can see one time where that complaint is like that makes sense to me, and that is, oh my god, I can't even remember his name, like Cassian or something. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
Cassian Andor,
So
the person who I think is actually the lead of the movie. But
yeah, and what I mean by that is, I guess the biggest complaint that I've seen so far about the movie is about his character and how he kind of goes from this guy where he's really suspicious to you absolutely hate him because at that one scene where he tries to off her dad, and then I guess just out of desperation while they're in an elevator she flashes him doomy eyes, and that's just like it just seemed kind of weird to pair them. And I see, there was definitely that one scene in the hangar too right before they take off where I guess he kind of made peace with her a little bit by trusting her, but it just felt like a really weird jump, from being suspicious to hating to okay, he gives a shit to doomy eyes.
see, I read that differently. Because he did actually have a quite a major backstory, and they established it through his actions more so than through exposition. Which, with like Han Solo, for example, his backstory is he runs into Greedo, and Greedo's like, "You owe Jabba money," and Han's like, "Oh yeah, well, I'm gonna shoot you." And they do that whole thing in the cantina, and you learn more about Han's backstory as the trilogy progresses,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all told to you. You don't necessarily see it through his actions. And with Cassian, the first scene we meet him, he sees an informant, and the guy tells him the information to get the plot of the movie started. And some stormtroopers come up, and Cassian shoots both stormtroopers, and the other guy starts panicking. He's like, I can't escape because I'm wounded, and because the guy is panicking so much, Cassian knows, well, this guy's going to break and reveal rebel secrets. And so he shoots the guy in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there was all I needed to know, that this guy, that Cassian's seen a lot of shit. He's had to do a lot of shit in the name of protecting the rebellion, and was willing to go to whatever steps and dark places were necessary to make sure that the job got done.
Yeah. See, I mean, that's something that you don't really pick up on the first viewing. So thank you for that. I'm throughout the rest of our discussion here, I'm gonna kind of defer to your judgment a little bit, just because you've now seen it more than I have. Uh, so that's a good explanation for it. How do you feel about the obvious like fan service stuff?
I thought the fan service stuff was great, and a lot of it like one of the other criticisms I've heard is, oh, there was too much fan service, and it's like, well, not really, because all the fan servicey things, there were two things that bothered me.
Was it the blue milk?
No, the blue milk is the blue milk's a standard thing. The
Thank
blue
you.
milk's been in every Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
It was in Attack of the Clones. It was in Revenge of the Sith, I'm pretty sure. So the blue milk's just a thing.
Yeah,
That
I've heard a lot of people bitch about specifically this, just the shot of the blue milk in that one shot at the beginning where it's just a close up on it.
It's not. I don't consider that a big deal. That's more of an Easter egg than a fan service thing.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. That was cool, but I mean that didn't bother me at all.
The one that jarred me a little bit is when they're walking through the marketplace on Jeddah, the first planet they go to, and she
Yeah,
bumps into the two dudes from the cantina,
yeah, that was
which,
kind of like unneeded.
which I liked initially, but then when I thought about it more and the timeline of stuff, it was like
Mhm.
those guys must have been on their way to their ship to fly to Tatooine
Exactly, they would have had to
because
go there like
because
straight
that place got blown up like 2 hours later.
straight to the cantina, or maybe it was just perfect timing and they saw what happened and they were just so shooken up. They're just like, I need a fucking drink. Let's go to Tatooine.
Yeah, which is what I like to think they did. And I mean, and honestly, that one I was okay with. The one that pulled me more out of it was the shot of 3PO and R2D2 towards the end.
Yes, thank you
Uh,
for bringing that up. I totally forgot about that.
and it wasn't because they were there. It was more where they were.
Yeah, they didn't
Because
establish that they had left too.
yeah, it because it felt like, oh, here's all the X-wings leaving, and then the Rebel fleet showing up from somewhere else because the Rebel fleet clearly wasn't there.
Yeah,
So to me, that just made like, well, when did R2 and 3PO have time to get to Leia's ship? I
yeah,
would have rather them have just been on the ship at the end at the final scene there when they're running past Leia and 3PO's like, oh no, what's going on?
hmm See,
And
that would have fit
but
more. Yeah.
it would have fit more logically, but at the same time, it probably would have a comedic beat would have detracted from that final scene too.
Oh god, that final scene. You're right. I feel like maybe what they could have done is before that final scene is built up, they could have had just a cutaway shot to 3PO and R2 just getting out of there, um, because that would have fell in line perfectly with how A New Hope starts, and then they could have brought in Vader just mercilessly slaughtering everybody, and they could have built up the tension then. It would have been like an extra half second of footage. Like uh, that to me, I think would have made more sense. It would have been a little bit less cheesy, and I don't know.
Yeah, and the other major complaint I heard was that Tarkin was in the movie, and they CG'd a dead guy, someone
Here's,
who died. He died in 1994, Peter
yeah,
Cushing.
yeah. Here's the thing about that though. I talked to a couple people, including Kendra. She was the first one I talked to about this, and she didn't even know he was CGI'd. She said that if I had never told her, she would have never known, and she would have just believed he was a real guy. Not that it was perfect CGI, mind you. It was just, I think it was well done, and they used it in a good way. And the thing is, when it comes to the story, that is a very important character to have.
He had like
He
if you're
had to
gonna
be
tell
there.
this story, he had to be there.
He was required. It wasn't
Mhm.
like they just dug up a dead guy because they needed him. It was. This is
And
how.
if they had recast him,
Mhm.
like the character was in episode 3 also at the very end,
Yeah,
but it was a profile shot from a distance of a guy with the same build with a facial prosthetic.
yeah.
And if you look at it on a Blu-ray, you can tell that it's not him at all. It's just a guy that looks kind of like him.
So yeah, in this case, they actually what they did is they found a guy who looks somewhat like him, has similar facial features, and then they CGI'd Tarkin's face onto his face, and they used a lot of his facial expressions on Tarkin's face to manipulate it. So what they were trying to avoid was the Deadeye effect that like say Jeff Bridges had in Tron Legacy.
Hmm. And there were some shots where it held up better than others, I felt.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
definitely.
when he was in a shadow, it looked really good, but when he was fully lit, he crossed into the uncanny valley a little bit.
Yeah,
But that's the thing. If you're a hardcore Star Wars fan and you know that actor passed away 20 years ago, you see him, your brain's just gonna not process it correctly.
yeah. I mean,
And
you're gonna know it's CGI. There's no fooling you at that point. Doesn't matter how good it is.
hmm
Um,
like for me, I thought the Princess Leia at the end looked fake.
yeah, no, that
But a
was
bunch of people I talked to and reviews I've read were like, well, Tarkin looked fake, but Princess Leia looked real, and I felt exactly the opposite. So it was still good, and that shot still needed to be there, and it was awesome. But I can see where people seeing different people react to it in different ways and say one was better than the other, and then other people saying the exact opposite shows that they did a good job.
well, yeah, because there's no universal agreement. That tells you that it's all a matter of just perspective. It's all about who you are. You know, it's a subjective opinion as to which one was better or worse and why they were that way. I feel like maybe if she had gotten a bit of a longer scene, we definitely would have had more people leaning one way.
Yeah.
At least I think that. I think because they used her for like a 5 second clip, uh, I think that was a smart thing to do because you couldn't make that comparison at that point. Not reliably anyway.
So
Having said
then,
that, I think that Leia definitely did look worse than Tarkin, but still was pretty good. Better
yeah.
than Leia now.
Well, yeah. I look more like like Princess Leia from the '70s than Carrie Fisher does now.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
the other cool the fan servicey thing that actually got the biggest cheer in both showings was the pilots during the space battle. Like,
Really?
yeah, red leader and gold leader,
Oh yes. I
because
Yeah, they established Red 5 dying too, so that's why Luke got the call sign,
yes,
which I
but
loved it.
just that and I rewatched A New Hope last night, paying attention to those shots to see if they were the same shots, and I'm fairly certain
Mhm.
that they aren't the exact same shots. Like
No.
they went through the old footage,
Hmm.
and because those aren't CG,
Yeah.
they but they went through the old footage and they took alternate takes from the Battle of Yavin.
Hmm. No, that's what they
And
did. They confirmed already. They used unused footage in A New Hope, and they put that into Rogue One for continuity's sake. And then, I mean, honestly, it just looked
and it
great.
just so happened that there's a point in the Battle of Yavin where he says, "Red 5, what are you doing?"
Hmm.
And they just transposed that and had another Red 5 get blown out of the sky hilariously.
Hmm. No, that was great. Now, I need to bring up something here.
Hmm
Um, what do you think about the way they use the phrase "I have a bad feeling about this"?
I laughed.
So here's what I'm getting out of it. Like just after kind of like taking a day or two and like thinking about it, because it's been what 2 days since it came out at the time we're recording this, um, is that this is a movie in the Star Wars universe, but it's not a Star Wars saga movie, which is another reason and another thing I wanted to bring up was they didn't have a text crawl in the beginning. Uh, what that tells me was they knew that everyone was going to expect it at some point, but they didn't want to have to put it in there just to appeal to the audience. And because it doesn't have to have it in there because it's not a Star Wars saga movie, they did the thing that I think just was perfect. So they had a character start saying, "I've got a bad feeling about this," but he never finished the last word, and he gets interrupted, and they just leave it at that.
Which was great. That was why it was funny.
Yeah, it's the perfect way to do it.
There was and K2SO was the comic relief of the movie.
Oh yeah, no, he
Like
totally was.
other a couple of the other characters had some funny moments, but he was the I think the funniest character.
I don't want to make this sound like I'm trying to like say anything necessarily great or amazing about myself, but I feel like if I were in the Star Wars universe at all, I would resemble K2SO for no other reason than I don't know. I can say some weird shit sometimes. But I definitely relate to him. I think more than most that I have seen in really any of either the films or any of the expanded universe that I've gotten into. I feel like he just kind of gets me on like a sassy dad joke kind of level. If that makes any sense. Maybe not
Yeah,
really dad joke, but
it makes perfect sense. Like the point where she has the big inspirational speech, and then Cassian's all like, "We're with you," and then he's like, and then K2 is, "I'm with you too. Cassian told me I had to." It was perfect.
right?
But then and you think this robot's a dick the whole time, but at the end he heroically sacrifices himself to save the leads, or to rather extend their lives 5 minutes so they could get the job done.
Yeah. So I mean, okay, that's something we could talk about. The ending, because that I think is the one biggest gripe that people have. But I think it's because honestly, I think it's because we're in the U.S. and we've kind of come to expect things from movies, and one of those things that we've come to expect is happy endings, and not the dirty kind. Um, in other countries, like specifically the UK, their stories are almost always end on a sad note. Their tragedies are really big over there.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to us, even like 100 plus years ago, like children's stories, ours always have a happy ending, and there's the main character dies or loses something big, and it's just never fun, and there's always a moral to it or something like that. This is the first movie that I've seen that is, it's a U.S. movie, that everyone dies. I mean, we technically still get, a feel-good ending, a little bit, but all the characters that we've been following throughout the movie up to the end, they all die.
Which was a gutsy move for Disney to do. And
Yeah.
I'm glad Disney allowed them to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I was very afraid, I have to admit, when our mousy overlords took over control. It felt like how democracy ended. Um, a
Thanks, Palpatine.
Thank you.
No, but look, it's a gutsy call, but you got to remember there are other movies that have done the same thing.
Okay, so I don't know, like off the top of my head. Do you have any examples?
Saving Private Ryan, Black Hawk Down.
Okay, then.
Like Saving Private Ryan, like I assume you've seen it,
Yeah.
but the basic plot is, a group of soldiers have to go in and save one dude, and in the process, all those soldiers die, but they succeed in their mission and save the one dude.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess the point is, our population isn't really ready for that, or they're not used to it.
They're
And
not used to it, and that's
yeah.
why this movie is really good.
Exactly. They kind of went and they took that risk, and I think it's going to pay off because, I mean, we've known going into it what the ending's going to be. Obviously, the Rebels get the Death Star plans, right? And we know this because that's how A New Hope started. The Rebels got the Death Star plans. Well, technically, R2 did, but whatever. So we knew there was going to be some kind of happiness. And so I wonder if, while they were writing this movie, they actually thought about that and thought, okay, let's go a different direction that no one's expecting us to go because they're expecting this ending. But
Exactly.
that doesn't have to be the only ending.
I mean, the movie went through a bunch of reshoots.
Yeah,
and,
there was that too, yeah.
and a bunch of, like, if you rewatch the trailers, the second trailer, about 50% of the shots in that trailer aren't actually in the movie.
Yeah, I was looking at some articles about that earlier today, and it was showing like all the different shots in the trailers that weren't in the movie. They really wanted them to include.
Like the one that a lot of people talk about was, when Jin's walking out on the platform to realign the dish, and
Yeah.
the TIE fighter rises up.
Yeah, the TIE
Which
fighter
was
was
an
never.
It was an epic trailer shot,
Mhm.
but what they said was what originally happened in that scene was TIE fighter rose up, she stopped, and then an X-wing blew up the TIE fighter from off screen, and
Mm.
then she just went and did the thing. But the thing was, it was too similar to the earlier shot with the AT-AT and the guy hitting it with the bazooka, and then
Oh.
the X-wings coming and saving them at the last second.
Yeah.
It would have been a
Okay.
Deus Ex, the same Deus Ex twice, and that's it. It's better that they removed that.
Yeah, that's a
And
big no-no.
the so I have faith that they had a cut of the movie,
Hmm.
realized, hey, you know what, this is good, but it could be a lot better. Let's reshoot some things. And it's clear that there was plot elements left on the cutting room floor. I feel like there was a bunch of Saw Gerrera's character that got left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot more uh, of his character in the movie, just based on the trailer.
Well, just based on the trailer and based on, I feel like there was a whole sequence with young Jin and him abandoning her. You know how she said,
Yeah.
"You abandoned me in a bunker when I was 16." I feel like there was a sequence that was shot of that happening
Which I mean,
because
yeah.
there's in the very first trailer, Saw Gerrera with shaved head delivers this line, if they capture you, what will they do? Will they break you? What will you do? What will
Mhm.
from the trailer, like from 8 months ago. And that, him dressed in that, him looking that way, he appeared that way, but only in that initial opening flashback scene where he had short hair and he came and saved her out of the bunker. And so, but then when we actually see him, he's all disheveled and has a half afro and bionic legs. So, a whole scene of him was cut out, and it feels like that scene happened in the past when she was a kid.
Yeah. I wonder if they were continue or if they originally shot it to continue where the first scene, the the flashback, or I don't know if it was, I don't think it was a flashback. It just kind of seemed to be how the
It was a
movie.
cold open,
Yeah, it was a
but
cold open, but then it didn't jump until to the time where she was an adult. I wonder if the cold open scene was originally going to be longer or went into a scene where maybe
well, she
she's a
had a
bit older.
dream later. She had a flashback dream a little later,
Hmm.
and I feel like it would have appeared in that flashback scene.
But if you think about it, though, it goes against what they did with all their other characters, which I guess in that sense it makes sense to cut it because that's just pure exposition that we don't need. That's not really going to come in handy in the movie.
Yeah.
I wonder if they just realized that and we're like, this adds nothing, and the movie's already going to be like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, so it was probably cut for time more than anything because it was already a 2 hour 15-minute movie,
Hmm.
which makes it only, I think, 3 minutes shorter than Force Awakens, and Revenge of the Sith is currently the longest one,
Yeah,
but that's beside the point. I just feel like the stuff they cut out for the right reasons.
yeah, it feels like a very succinct movie.
Mhm.
It doesn't really waste time on too much. I gotta say though, I want like a buddy cop style movie now with the blind guy and his sidekick.
Just a prequel, and it's just them hanging out.
I want a prequel to this prequel. I want it done because that is we didn't get enough of them. I don't feel like I really want to know more about those characters because they definitely had like some kind of like bro relationship going on, and that would be fun to explore. I think.
Well, their whole thing, like going back to fan service stuff, um, they they're on that planet Jeddah, which is a planet where they mine kyber crystals.
Can we? Okay,
Which
okay. I'm sorry. I gotta stop you here. The fact that they have Jeddah, they have the Jedi Temple, and they have kyber crystals in this movie, just
because all that's expanded universe
I
stuff.
know. Oh my.
So in
Oh.
the original draft of the original Star Wars, the MacGuffin wasn't going to be the Death Star plans. It was going to be the kyber crystals
Hmm.
that power the super laser.
But what I like is it's now in a Star Wars movie.
Right. What I'm
Like,
saying is they worked in elements
mhm.
from George Lucas's first draft.
Which is brilliant. And then there's also that call to the original title too. They said something like they're the guardian or the protector of the wills,
Yep.
and the original title for Star Wars was going to be something. I can't remember the full title, but it was something
Let me
Luke
look it up. 'Cause-
Starkiller and then colon Journal of the Wills. It was going to be essentially a telling from this like uh,
Yeah, here it is. The Adventures of Luke Starkiller, as taken from Journal of the Wills.
yeah, that was the original title for Star Wars, and the concept for it was going to be an actual, as if like an actual journal was being read to you, basically.
Yeah, that was the whole point. Is we're being told these movies, and this goes to people who are saying, "Oh, this wasn't like a normal Star Wars movie." Well, no, it's not. It's like imagine that this whole thing is being narrated to you by somebody in the future.
Have you actually like read up on what the original plot was going to be about? Because it's so much different than what we got.
Oh
It's
yeah,
it's so funny. The original person was going to be, I think, named Mace Windy.
yeah. Like there's a bunch of stuff that ended up popping up in the prequels and other things that were like Luke Starkiller. Well, we got Starkiller Base.
Hmm.
Um,
And Luke
and
was originally going to be named Anakin, but it was a
yep,
different spelling.
and Chewbacca was originally going to be this like grayish alien dude,
Hmm.
and what they ended up doing was they took the original concept drawing of that version of Chewbacca and made him a character on Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah. And one of the original characters in the like original screenplay, his name was Chewie, but I think it was like Chuie or IEE, and he was actually supposed to be a human character,
Yeah.
but his name was Chewie, which I just love finding out that kind of crap.
So yeah. So speaking of like extended universe and Easter egg stuff, like there were other fan servicey things that happened in this movie that weren't as blatant, that were things from the extended universe or yeah, from outside of the movies, that from books or from the cartoon shows that were name dropped it throughout Rogue One, which was really cool.
I think I heard a few of them, but uh, I mean,
So
there may have
like
been some I missed.
so for Star Wars Rebels, for example, the ship that from the show called the Ghost was just parked in the hangar bay on Yavin, and it was
Oh
in
yeah.
and it was actually in the space battle at the end.
Okay,
It was
yeah.
just in the background, but it was the same ship.
I did hear about
Um,
that.
then there's a point where there's an intercom call asking for General Simdula, who is currently Captain Samdula on the cartoon show. So she's going to eventually become a general by the time Rogue One happens and be present on the base during these events. And then the other one was the droid Chopper from Rogue or from Rebels was literally just there was a scene with Mon Mothma talking to another guy, and he just went by in the background, and it was the exact same droid because he's uniquely painted. He's like gray and orange.
That's
So,
crazy. I love what they did there. Like there was one scene with the probe droid just kind of hanging out in the back. Like it's just in one shot. He's barely there. You can barely see him. But if you
mhm.
catch him, it's the same probe droid that they used. Well, the same type of probe droid that they used in Empire.
Yep. So little things like that shows that the people who are writing this thing
Hmm.
are fans and they know it shows that Disney is pulling together all these different forms of media and they're making sure it's staying connected and balanced.
That makes me happy. And I was listening to another podcast about a week ago, and they were talking about Westworld because Westworld just wrapped up its first season, and they were talking about how, and I have to agree with them, especially after watching this movie, that there's almost like there's a growing demand for quality over quantity lately when it comes to movies and TV shows. They used Westworld as an example because there's a lot of that in that show. I know you haven't seen it yet, so I'm not going to give you any like specifics, but there are things in the first like 3 or 4 episodes that become so important in the last one or two, and are as you rewatch the show even multiple times, you start picking up on it's almost like watching or rewatching Arrested Development again, because
Or
Arrested Development does the same thing.
Game of Thrones is the same way. There are
Yeah,
clues and hints over to what happened in season 6 and season 1.
yeah. And one
You
thing
just have
I never knew. Oh, sorry, I didn't interrupt you there.
Oh no, I'm just saying you just there's like throwaway lines of dialogue that are like that just feel like exposition, but then you realize, oh nope, it's actually foreshadowing.
Exactly.
So
A lot of that in Doctor Who also.
yes.
But so I mean, what they talked about with Westworld specifically was the fact that they shut down post production for a while and had to do like another, I think, like 3 or 4 months of reshoots. And some of the reshoots that they had included things like, well, the backdrop's not consistent in these shots, or in this shot, he's holding the gun in his left hand, he should be holding it in his right hand. And they actually went and they delayed the project by like almost half a year, I think it was. I mean, I could get
Yeah, fixing continuity errors.
but they went that deep into it, which is like they looked for continuity errors that small that most people are not going to care or know about, and they went and fixed that.
Which is like in regards to Rogue One, I went in looking for continuity errors like that, and I couldn't find any.
Yeah, that's exactly how Westworld is, and you could tell they took their time and they wanted to tell the story right, and they didn't want to have anything in there that's going to take you out of that universe. And it's only 10 episodes long, and that's kind of how I feel Rogue One was. It was quality over quantity. It was a very long movie. Don't get me wrong there, but they did take away a lot of. They took away just about all exposition, and they put in a lot of those things that tied with other things, not just so it would be fan service, but it almost seems like it plugs into the universe well and it fits well. I really like how that's getting to be a thing now. We're getting quality content.
Yeah, I mean, and in regards to continuity errors, they're littered throughout all the other Star Wars movies.
Oh yeah, it's almost like a trademark of it. Like you have to
Well,
have some
like
continuity errors,
the biggest one that I always notice is R2D2. You could tell when they mirrored a shot in the movie because his face will be backwards.
Oh
And
yeah.
because his face isn't symmetrical, it stands out.
Hmm.
And today I noticed that there's a shot in A New Hope that I never noticed before, but I'll never be able to unsee it now that he's backwards in one scene.
Really? What show
Yep.
was that? I was watching A New Hope earlier today.
It's right when they arrive at Yavin 4 and Leia says, "We got to get the plans out of this R2 unit."
Mhm.
And the shot is reversed because his face is backwards, and you don't notice it unless you're really paying attention.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to go look at that again. Damn it, Steve! Make me do another rewatch.
Yep. You're welcome.
uh, oh boy, our dog is barking, so I
Yeah,
apologize if you hear that.
yeah, it's just a corgi, so whatever.
He's a little asshole.
But then, but yeah, so, um, like back to Rogue One, the whole, the fact that, Donnie Yen's character was he wasn't even a Jedi, he was just in tune with the Force,
Yeah.
and from being a Temple guard, so he didn't have Force powers. He just had faith in the Force, and that's a concept we haven't seen before in a Star Wars movie.
Oh, I can tell you're wrong. Because I was about to say, up until now, we've only had one, which is Leia.
Well,
She's aware of the Force, and she can, at the very least, kind of like tell how her brother's doing.
Right,
We've
but she
seen that.
doesn't treat it as a religion, I guess is what I was saying.
Okay, so yeah, someone who's devoted to
Leia
the Force,
straight
not
up
just
could
Force
be a
sensitive.
Jedi if she chose to go through the training.
Yeah, she's definitely Force sensitive. So sorry, I thought that's what you were talking about was
No, no,
Force
no.
sensitive.
I'm talking about these characters in this movie were part of a faction that treats the Force as a religion, like they're part of the Church of the Force,
Hmm.
for lack of a better term, which is a thing that's existed in the books, but hasn't really been explored in the movies. And it
Okay.
makes me think that by them going into that territory a little bit in Rogue One, I think they're setting up the audience to visit that concept in Episode 8.
Yeah, maybe the Han Solo movie, and I'm not sure. I heard things about it, but I haven't yet gotten a full on confirmation. Are they doing a Boba Fett movie? Do you know?
They are right now. They're not.
Damn it.
Like they
Okay.
were talking about it, but it's on the back burner.
Okay. Well, it hasn't been
They
written
haven't
off yet, so
announced anything. My thinking is that Boba Fett's going to be the antagonist in the Han Solo movie.
that would work. That would be a really good kind of like introduction to him and his own story. Now, a bunch of guys at work and I were talking about that the other day, and they were talking about how they're going to be pissed since we already got a glimpse into how Boba kind of became himself in Attack of the Clones, which I know I don't like to think about, but it happened. Um, they are more interested in seeing how he got out of the Sarlacc pit because, of course, we're all counting on the fact that Boba actually got out of the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, I mean there's a couple of ways to do it. The problem with doing a post Sarlacc pit story is if I was Boba Fett, the first thing I would want to do is hunt down Han Solo,
Yeah,
which obviously you can't do because Harrison Ford doesn't, it would fall into that gap, that 30-year gap
yeah,
between Jedi and Force Awakens,
exactly.
which I don't think they can really touch outside of books.
Yeah, well, for no other reason than the actors have aged too much. The new main characters either weren't born or were incredibly small children at that time, and some of the actors don't want to do it or aren't around anymore to do it.
Right. Like I could see them doing it in a cartoon show setting with
There you
different
go.
voice actors,
Yeah,
but even then, people would be disappointed because they would want to see it in a movie,
exactly. Yeah,
and and I don't see any way that a Boba Fett getting out of the Sarlacc pit movie
mm.
could be a thing. That's just my opinion.
Now, I'm not saying they're ever going to do this, and honestly, I really hope they don't ever do this. But what do you think about the possibility of, let's say they decide to make a movie between episode 6 and 7 about what happened with Luke?
That I would be okay with, or they do a Knights of Ren movie or something,
Yeah, and they could
and
have Boba in there a little bit.
maybe that's how they do it. Boba Fett somehow creates the Knights of Boba Fett is Snoke, confirmed.
There you go. We solved it. I was waiting for the conspiracy theories.
No, but the I don't know. That could be a potential for a movie. Personally, I want to see a Obi-Wan movie where
Yes.
that's done in the style of a western,
Hmm.
where he's just on Tatooine and he gets involved in some small conflict
Hmm.
and he has to deal with it.
Yeah. See, I mean, I've heard arguments for and against that that make sense to me. Arguments for it, it would just be badass. Ewan McGregor, we already know he loved playing Obi-Wan. He was the best part of the prequels, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions, and he would love to sign back on with it and do something else.
Well, I think he already has signed back on,
Has he
but
really?
but here's the thing. They've said there's no plans for an Obi-Wan movie.
Yeah.
And but we know that Ewan McGregor is involved with stuff because he was in episode 7.
Yeah. No, he's
He came in and recorded voice lines during that whole Ray's vision thing.
yeah. That was him, and it was actually a mix of him. In
Yeah,
the original Obi-Wan.
they used some Alec Guinness dialogue,
Hmm.
but I genuinely think that the reason they haven't announced an Obi-Wan movie is because they're not done with the character of Obi-Wan in the saga films yet.
There you go. That could do it.
And so he's going to be relevant in some capacity to what's going on in episode 8 and 9.
Yeah.
And then maybe after episode 9, they can go back and do the Obi-Wan in Exile movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because my theory is that if they were to do that movie, it would give away plot points that would be relevant in episode 8 and 9, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I guess I could say my only argument against it that I agree with is it would have to be a damn good story because we've been told at this point that he was pretty much just chilling on Tatooine that entire time.
Well, that's not entirely true. We know if you're following Star Wars Rebels at all.
I am not.
Okay, well, spoilers. The current plot, there's a plot that's been going on since the Clone Wars cartoon. So, on Clone Wars, Darth Maul turns out to be alive. He survived, getting chopped in half. They find him, and he's got like robot spider legs.
Oh,
he's just completely nuts on this junkyard planet. Long story short, he ends up getting normal legs and rejecting the Sith, but also rejecting the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And so he still has all these dark side powers, but he's doing his own thing. And he basically wants to kill the Emperor.
Okay.
But he also wants to kill Obi-Wan. And it leads to him eventually becoming leader of the planet Mandalore. Mm-hmm. which was a great like multi-part episode. Okay. And you can find it on YouTube, the lightsaber duel. But Darth Sidious is like, "No, you're not doing this," and shows up and kicks his ass.
Ah, okay.
And so it's this lightsaber duel between the Emperor and Darth Maul. And the Emperor just wipes the floor with him.
Oh yeah.
So then the next time we see Darth Maul was on Star Wars Rebels. And it was in last year's season finale. And he's an old man living on this planet, and the particular planet was Malachor, which was a planet from the Knights of the Old Republic RPG on Xbox. And it was a Sith temple world. And so there's a Sith temple there, and he gets involved with the plot, and Darth Vader shows up, and Darth Maul duels Darth Vader. Darth Maul escapes. Vader then duels Ahsoka. Ahsoka realizes Vader is Anakin, and Ahsoka, if you don't know, was Anakin's Padawan.
Yeah, I saw enough to get that, and I have to admit I did look up that scene when I found out it existed, where she finds out he's Anakin, and that whole final battle with the two of them, and yeah, I've already seen that. It's intense. It's great. I love it. I need to start the show. I know. There's a lot I haven't done. I'm still at the beginning of season 2 of Game of Thrones, dude.
Fair. So anyway, so then in season 3 of Rebels, which is where we are now, Darth Maul's appeared in 2 episodes. The first appearance, in that end of season 2, his whole plan is to get this Sith holocron, which is buried in this temple. And then he tricks the Jedi character, Ezra, into combining the Sith holocron with a Jedi holocron. And it opens up their minds to the Force and allows them to get whatever knowledge they want.
Huh, okay.
But the link gets broken prematurely, and Ezra sees a location, and so they each have a question they want to ask the Force, and we know that Ezra's question is, how do I destroy the Sith? And Maul's question is, where is he? And because the link gets broken prematurely, they see the answer to each other's question. And so Maul sees Kenobi, and Ezra sees Tatooine. but he just says a desert planet with twin suns. That's all he sees. So then in the most recent episode, they do it again, and this time see what they want to see, and they get the full picture. So the answer to Ezra's question of how do I destroy the Sith is Kenobi, and Maul's answer question is where is Kenobi, and it's Tatooine. And so the episode ends with Maul getting on his ship, and he's like, "I'm coming for you," and he flies off, which means they're setting up for Darth Maul to show up on Tatooine and fight Kenobi.
And since that's now canon, that means that actually happened.
Yes, so Darth
Oh
Maul
my god.
goes to Tatooine and presumably fights Kenobi.
See, if Disney ever hears this, this is a guaranteed cash cow. A movie with Obi-Wan and Darth Maul.
Disney is in charge of it.
Mm-hmm.
Disney Rebels is canon.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, is they've set this up perfectly. So I wonder if they already, like, if they have that plan or something.
My what I'm wondering is if they're going to resolve it in the back half of Rebel Season 2, or if they're just going to leave that arc unresolved, and then in 5 years they'll be like, here's the Obi-Wan movie. By the way, you probably should watch Star Wars Rebels first.
Mm.
And the Obi-Wan movie is Obi-Wan and Darth Maul on Tatooine, and it's like a Wild West sort of style of film.
Who would have thought that Disney buying Star Wars would be
for $4 billion.
For $4 billion would be the right choice. Like that.
Well, they got a deal. I mean, I sure hope George Lucas had some clause in the thing that he got a residual out of any money they made.
Yeah, if he was smart at all, he would. But I mean, he's already done some not so smart things, so you never know. I don't really care at this point. I'm very confident that the franchise is being taken care of. Yeah,
and like my theory is that Rogue One has some connection to Episode 8, and when that connection is revealed, people are going to be like, "Oh." Like that changes thing. Like it would be my theory is it's going to be Vader's castle on Mustafar.
Yes.
Because that scene, like the purpose it served was they gave this awesome location, but nothing happened there. And my theory is that that's going to be a spot where that's going to be super important in Episode 8 and 9. Because if I'm Kylo Ren, I want to go hang out in my grandfather's bathtub.
Yeah. And you know what? When Snoke said at the end of Episode 7, or didn't he say, "Bring her to me," when they were talking about Rey, and then he said to meet me? I can't remember what he exactly said, but he's basically telling Kylo to get off of Starkiller Base and come find me. Yeah. I'm wondering if that's where Snoke is at.
That would be super interesting if it's just Vader has a castle on Mustafar.
Yeah.
And that's where Snoke is based out of. But regardless, that whole sequence was awesome. And Vader, they used him just enough.
I know. They didn't overuse him. And what they did is, oh my god, after the prequels, we kind of had our vision of Darth Vader tainted a little bit. He didn't seem as big as intimidating and scary, I don't think, as we originally thought of him as. This movie fixed that. Oh my god. I have to say, that was like the last 5 minutes of this movie, I think are just it's one of the best like clips of film I've seen in a very long time.
Well, it's like the entire main cast is killed, and you're like, wow, the only surviving lead in this movie is the CGI character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. It got to that point.
And it's like, well, how are they going to wrap this up? Because it's a real downer that everybody died. Like, there were kids in the showing I just got out of, and you could tell that the kids were just like, holy crap, they all died. Like, and then the scene with Vader happens, and it's like, it's one of those, you're super down, and then that scene happens, everybody's cheering because it's freaking Vader coming in like the Terminator and just owning everybody.
Yeah, dude, he was on a rampage. He really, really was. Did you notice something was kind of off about the voice, though?
No. It was James Earl Jones.
It just sounds like he's getting old. Like, it's almost like you can tell.
No, what they did was they made his voice sound closer to how it did in episode 4.
Oh, is that what they tried to? Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean, it was really only during that scene, his first scene. Um,
He sounded he sounded different. Like watch the original, watch A New Hope and watch Empire Strikes Back. Vader sounds different,
yeah,
and they made his like in Empire Strikes Back he had black shades over his eyes.
yeah,
In Star Wars he had red shades over his eyes.
yeah. And in some shots, it was almost like you could see the eye underneath too.
Mhm. Rogue One he had the red shades under his eyes. In Rogue One he was wearing the
Yeah,
outfit from the original Star
I
Wars.
did notice that much. So I mean, that makes sense, but it definitely felt tweaked with. It was either tweaked with or a result of James Earl Jones getting old, and I just kind of resigned it to him getting old. But
Yeah, most likely that's the real answer, but I'm sure they tweaked with his voice to make it as close to A New Hope as possible, and I thought it was fine.
yeah, I mean, it didn't take me out of it. It was just one of those things I noticed, and I mean, again, people like you and I we're gonna notice these things, and we're gonna say, yeah, but this was messed up. But it's just like using dead actors in roles that they're needed in, and using aged actors in roles they're needed in. Is at some point it's never going to be perfect, and even if it is perfect, we're never going to see it as perfect because we know it's not true.
Yeah,
And I kind of have to step back a little bit from that, distance myself from those feelings, and just kind of enjoy the content. And it's difficult, but I'm usually okay at it.
yeah, and the bottom line is I hadn't had more fun in a Star Wars movie in a long time. Like Force Awakens was a nostalgia trip, which was great, and the, but like we said, it followed the motions of the original Star Wars, which in retrospect it had to do.
No, it really did. If anything else, it was just to instill faith back into the fan base.
Yeah, and to give the fans what they wanted after the prequels, which in theory could have been good. And I'm still of the opinion that what I hope Disney does is in 20 years or so, when the technology is there to fully make it to fully recreate scenes with CG characters and make it look not Uncanny Valley, that they'll release a special edition of the prequels and
If
just fix things.
if Lucas can put random shit in the original trilogy and release that, if Lucas can have his own edition, I want the Disney fixed edition.
Yes.
I want the corrected edition. I am totally with you on that. Now, when it comes to the prequels, I mean, I'm a younger dude, so I grew up with the prequels coming out. So I may have a bit of a different opinion than you or maybe some other people. But the way I see the prequels is they're cheesy, they're lame, but the yeah, I mean, minus the plot holes and some of the terrible acting and a lot of the terrible writing and the shitty CGI. um, it did have an overall story that, for the most part, fit into the original trilogy and made an explanation, that was really their only requirement. Not saying they were good, not saying they did a great job at it. I'm just saying they did it.
Yeah. The original Star Wars trilogy were three fantasy movies. It was a hero's journey arc with a sci-fi setting. The prequels, I think George Lucas intended them to be political thrillers,
Yeah, I mean, who gives a shit
and
about
they didn't really
fucking
work out.
trade disputes and shit? Like that's all.
Well, the thing was, it could have been really good.
No, it could have
It
been.
was just,
It was just poor execution.
yeah, exactly. Like the general plot of the prequel movies isn't bad. It's just executed poorly.
Yeah.
And then Rogue One is a war movie. It's straight up Black Hawk Down, Saving Private Ryan, war movie. It's a different type. It's a different genre of film from the original trilogy. It just happens to be a story that directly connects to the original trilogy.
Yeah, that's a good way
Which
of
is
framing
why,
it,
which is why I think the Han Solo movie is going to be like a gangster, or it'll be focused on the smuggler side of things. So it'll be a different. It'll be more of like a buddy comedy kind of thing.
I'd like to see a buddy comedy or more like a western kind of feel to it.
Yeah, I mean it'll be more. It'll be closer to Firefly. Let's put it that way.
Ooh, okay, yeah, I could see that happening. I want that.
Than Star Wars. It won't be. It'll be. It won't have that fantasy mysticism side of it. It's just going to be. It's going to be more pirates and that sort of thing.
So how do you feel about because the internet loves to bring this up. I can never remember what his name is, but the actor that everybody says looks exactly like Mark Hamill and would be perfect for Luke if they ever wanted to do something with Luke in it. He was in
Uh,
a he played Bucky.
oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I can't remember the
I can't
actor's
think of his
name.
name now. Um, hold on.
I'm trying to look it up, but I'm not finding it.
He is named
Sebastian something?
Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian
Sebastian,
Stan. Yeah. Have you
and
seen
he really
pictures?
doesn't. The one that you're talking about was photoshopped,
Oh, was it
but
photoshopped?
he looks similar to Luke, but not exactly.
Yeah. Well, see, that's why I wanted to ask you because I know what picture you're talking about. You said was photoshopped, but he's got some similarities. I mean, I don't. I'm not saying that we need to recast and reshoot and fill every single time gap because I like it. I like it how it is now. I'm not against anything more than what we have now, but I'm just against it being done without some kind of like caution. Um, and that's just one that I've heard everyone talk about. So
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think. The bottom line is, uh, I don't know. I don't think you need to recast anybody. I'm not exactly a fan of the young Han Solo thing. I have faith that it'll work out,
hmm
but to me, Han Solo is Harrison Ford,
exactly. What I
and
want is I want a Yoda or a Palpatine prequel.
I want a Old Republic, like Knights of the Old Republic
That would be a
trilogy.
good one too. Yeah.
And I mean, they have the whole universe to go with.
Oh yeah.
So if
No.
they go to the, I don't think they should go to the extreme future. But I do think that they should go to the extreme past
Or when
and
they first start
explore.
making lightsabers, I want to see that. Have you read
Yeah,
the comic series though that goes off about that?
no,
Like how oh my god, I'll have to show you some stuff. But there's actually a comic series that it it's it touches on how they developed lightsabers and what their predecessors were. So before lightsabers in the not anymore canon EU, there was a different type of lightsaber. I can't remember what it was called, uh, but there's this comic series about how they developed lightsabers by finding like the right type of kyber crystals and everything, and great read, great read, and that would be something that era, not necessarily that thing, but that era is what I would love to see.
yeah. There's a lot of places you can go. I mean, it's a giant freaking universe.
hmm
So
That's where I'd go. I'd go with a Yoda or Palpatine backstory, or as far back as the modern lightsabers, because those are things that we know happened, but we have the least amount of detail on. And then of course, we don't get a lot of detail about. And again, unless you read the expanded universe, which most of it is no longer canon, it's all been retconned anyway. But uh, there are a lot of great eras in Star Wars history, canon or not canon, that would be
yeah.
amazing film adaptations.
So anyway, um, I guess the conclusion that I can say is Rogue One's really good. It opens up a lot of avenues to explore in Star Wars lore going forward, which was fine and dandy. I guess the only, like, even the sequence with the giant mind reading slug thing, which that felt the most out of place out of everything, but it was still character development for Bodhi, the pilot. So
I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember what that scene was. God damn it.
It was when the pilot got drug into Saul Guerrera's place. He's like, "No, I'm telling you the truth." And
Oh
Saul's like,
yeah,
"I will
yeah,
expose you to my mind reading slug and
yeah.
see."
I honestly I forgot about that scene. That was a little weird.
Yeah, it was a weird scene, but um, on the second viewing, it made a little more sense. Mainly because um, it established that he basically said, "If you're lying, this will drive you mad," and he obviously wasn't lying because he was fine.
Hmm.
So, but it was the most out of place scene. But going back, it was like, here's just a weird monster thing that can now be used in future media content.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. There you go. Um, Not bad. I think we pretty much dissected this thing for the most part. I don't really know. I have,
I'm sure we'll think of something later. But
yeah. I mean, that was a good talk. I mean, I just can't wait for next year, man.
oh yeah, let me look here and see. Rogue One debuts with an estimated
71 million, I think.
71 million on Friday,
Ooh, good
headed
deal.
towards 150 million opening weekend. For reference, Moana,
Hmm.
the newest Disney animated movie, has made a total of 153 million dollars.
Oh shit.
So Star Wars, and it's been out for 24 days. So um,
People
so
like
Star
Star
Wars in
Wars.
one weekend is going to outperform that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh man, it's kind of funny seeing. Well, kind of sad too. I mean, Moana, from what I've heard, is a great movie, and I definitely want to go see it. But it's just funny seeing
Oh
that
no, it's really
difference.
good.
Like you can just tell what everyone's going there for, and you kind of feel bad that they're getting their ass kicked, but um, at the
Well,
same time, it's good.
technically, they're both Disney
Yeah,
movies, so
I was about to say Disney doesn't care either way because they're just making a shit ton of money, but um, I just hope they see it as an incentive. And what's funny? Are you friends with Tommy still or at all on Facebook?
I
Um,
haven't talked to him.
okay,
No.
so he posted a thing about Moana. I think it was this morning because he went to go see it last night, and he went to see Rogue One on opening night as well. And he posted these really nice long reviews on there, and he was going into exactly the same thing we were talking about earlier, which is the whole quality over quantity thing. How that seems to be becoming more of a point of focus,
Yeah.
and he was able to see it with that as well. So I mean, it's not just that Disney made these good movies and they made a shit ton of money off of them, and they're gonna slap themselves on the back and come out with whatever they want to come out with next. Uh, but I really hope they see it as an incentive to keep producing good content and to take the time to make it right and to take as long as it takes because I think now it's shown that we, the audience, are willing to wait a bit longer for a better story.
Yeah. I agree. But Disney's obviously doing something right because in uh in 2016, four of the top five grossing films are Disney movies.
It may be
Is
something as
Secret Life
simple
of Pets a
as
Disney movie?
oh, that's right. I
No, it's
hadn't seen
not.
that yet. Oh, was it not? I don't
No,
know. You
let's
can't.
see.
You got.
Captain America 3, Finding Dory, Zootopia, and The Jungle Book
Oh
have
yeah,
each grossed. Oh, those four movies have grossed $4 billion roughly.
yeah. So Disney, get the right message out of it. Yeah, and I mean that's good. I'm glad. My biggest problem with most content is just kind of how rushed it can feel, and lately I just haven't been getting that out of Disney or otherwise.
Yeah.
So here's
Well,
to more good
the
quality
real
content.
test the real test is to see if Rogue One is able to sustain for a while. It's got pretty heavy competition with Assassin's Creed coming out next weekend.
Oh,
I'm
that's gonna be out
joking.
next weekend already, or
Yeah,
no?
Assassin's Creed's going to be terrible. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Oh God. Yeah, I saw the
I'm still gonna
trailer and I wasn't impressed.
I'm gonna go see it, but I have a pretty bad feeling about it.
God damn it. God damn it, Steve.
So yeah, I'm as far as next movie I'm looking most forward to, that would probably be Guardians of the Galaxy 2,
Yeah.
which is in May, and then Spider-Man, which will be the real test to
Okay,
see if world peace is possible.
so I know this is mostly a Star Wars episode at this point, but I mean, we've got to talk about that Spider-Man trailer for just a second. Like, I won't hold you up too much longer if you don't want to, but we got to at least say something about it. I mean, I I am genuinely excited for this one. I was never this excited for the Tobey Maguire or the Andrew Garfield ones, which I mean they have their strengths, but this just seems like the first good and honest to God Spider-Man movie. Not just because it's
Oh
Marvel.
yeah,
It's so much more accurate. So it's what Spider-Man should be, is what I see.
yep. It because they're able to tie it in with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Just that fact alone, uh, makes the movie that much better.
Yeah,
And I'm just praying that this time next year we'll be talking about how Disney and Fox reached a deal to get the rights to the Fantastic Four back to Marvel.
there you go.
And then you know have the Fantastic Four show up in you know in a Thor movie or something down the road. You know
So
what I mean?
yeah, so what I'm gonna have to do is link in the show notes here that scene of Patton Oswalt talking about his idea for Star Wars Episode 7 and
Oh, the one
how
from Parks and Rec.
the one
Yeah.
from Parks and Rec. I'm gonna have to put that one in there just in case someone hasn't seen it yet, because that's kind of what I feel like we're going towards.
They'll never do that
I
because
know.
Star Wars one, it'd be a continuity error because Star Wars is directly referenced in the Marvel movies.
Yeah,
Therefore, they can't exist in the same universe.
I know that makes me kind of sad. It's one of those things that I just get a lot of enjoyment out of, is just kind of thinking about how that would actually, if that were to actually work. I mean, like Star Wars and Marvel Cinematic Universe, X-Men, Guardians of the Galaxy, and then I think there was one other franchise that he was talking about bringing in, but it would just be fucking great.
Oh, dog's barking again.
Yeah, he likes to add his thoughts too sometimes.
Yeah, he's just jealous.
That's right. But
No, but yeah, Disney's doing the right thing. They've clearly uh, exemplified quality over quantity, even though it feels like there's always something coming out. I mean, they have another Pirates of the Caribbean movie coming out next year.
yeah, it's funny. So you and I were in the same theater. We had the same showing. The guy next to me was just one of the worst people you can sit next to in a theater. He wasn't like gross or anything, but he was just that loud, obnoxious guy that had to talk about what he felt to nobody in particular the entire time. And so when the new Fast and Furious trailer came out, he was just pumped for it. And this is like the eighth one, right?
Yep.
And then the trailer comes out for the new Pirates, and everyone's groaning because by that time they're just ready to watch Rogue One. And I'm sitting here like I'm just enjoying all the trailers. I don't give a shit. But then it slowly starts to be revealed what movie they're talking about. Like, it's going to be another Pirates of the Caribbean. And the second it hit that guy, he goes, God damn it, not again. Why can't they just let it go? And I'm thinking to myself, you just cheered for a Fast and the Furious 8. And you're mad
Yep.
for what's going to be like, what, the fourth Pirates of the Caribbean after like 5 years or 6 years of not having one? That's too much for you? Like, are you seeing the problem there?
The problem is Pirates of the Caribbean should have ended a while ago.
Oh no, I'm not saying. Yeah, I'm not disputing
Like, at
that.
least Fast and Furious has cool cars and The Rock in it.
Yeah,
But now it's like, how can we shake this up more? I know. Let's have Vin Diesel be the villain this time.
and let's use
Okay.
more pictures
Does
of
this
Paul Walker to tear at everyone's heartstrings. I'm sorry, like nothing against the dude, but just they didn't need
well,
that.
Fast and the Furious 9, they're gonna Grand Moff Tarkin, Paul Walker into it,
Oh,
and
yeah, well by then the CGI is going to be good, or it won't, and they're going to Jeff Bridges him.
yeah, nice Tron reference in there.
Thank you. Well, I mean, seriously, I gotta say, when that movie came out, I was convinced that was like the pinnacle of CGI. Like that was so well done. It looked just like the young Jeff
And
Bridges.
you could accept the uncanny valley because they were in a computer world.
Yeah, and then there's that argument too. Well, they're in a simulated world. There's going to be simulated physics. The problem I have with that is none of the programs look that way, and none of the other humans look that way. It was just Jeff Bridges. So it's like, okay, then you can't really get away with that being a complete excuse. Um, that I gotta say, I watched that movie the other night. Everything but him holds up as far as graphics go. It still looks good. It's a very beautiful movie, except for the face. But
Yeah,
that's just me, and that was 7-year-old tech. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm not upset about it. It was good at the time. They did well with what they had. I definitely see Rogue One as one of those movies where in 5 or 6 years, I'm probably going to be saying the same thing about Tarkin and Leia, which is, wow, that doesn't hold up anymore. That looks like shit compared to what we have today. But you know what? It was good enough to this year, this week, that people who didn't know that it wasn't actually them thought it was them. And I think
yeah.
that's where it gets good enough. I think that should be considered good enough.
If it was good enough that somebody who didn't know that Peter Cushing passed away in 1994, and it's enough to convince them, then that's good enough.
They've done their job because they're not going to convince anyone else. And for everybody else, we can't forget the fact that he died, and we can't de-age Carrie Fisher. So this is the best we're going to get. Let's just deal with it and focus on the movie and how good the movie was.
On the space battle, which was amazing.
And the Darth Vader freak out.
Yep.
Which I'm so glad we got. My God.
And it was enough. Like he'd had a similar sequence in Star Wars Rebels where the good guys encounter Vader and they drop an AT-AT on him. And he just lifts it up with the Force and throws it at them. and then he knocks one of the guys down with the Force, and the other guy has a lightsaber, and Vader goes to try and make him stab himself with it.
Ooh.
He's like, clearly you're not ready for this, and he's making him raise his own lightsaber to his neck.
Ah, okay.
and then Vader gets shot in the back, and it distracts him just long enough for them to get away.
Goddamn. Well, I'm at least glad we got a badass Vader moment. That right there makes me happy with it.
So, and some folks were saying the one other complaint about Rogue One that I've heard was the soundtrack's not that good.
The
Imperial March the Imperial March wasn't heard. Yada yada. I'm like, well, it wouldn't have been heard because it wasn't heard in the original Star Wars.
And not only that, but just because it's not John Williams doesn't mean it's not good.
No, I thought it was a great soundtrack.
Thank you. I have no complaints about it.
It called back to the original Star Wars a bunch of times.
There were definitely elements that I picked up on. Yeah. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't John Williams.
Yeah, but it had a bunch of John Williams stuff in it.
Exactly.
So, and considering that Michael Giacchino, I believe his name is.
Yeah, I don't know how the hell to pronounce his last name. But...
Yeah, he got tasked with. He only had 4 weeks to put the score together.
Really?
Because of the reshoots. He only had 4 weeks.
Shit. He did a great job.
Yeah, because they had another composer set, but that composer had to back out because of the reshoots, and he didn't have time to. He didn't have a finished product to write a score around, and so it got handed to Giacchino, and he went and he wrote a good score, which is available for $11.95 on iTunes.
Okay. I'll have to look at that. Sweet. Well,
Yeah,
not
it's
bad.
the second. It's the second listed thing under new music.
Okay, I'll have to check that out and start jamming to it tonight.
So, oh, it's $9.99 now.
Oh shit. Nice.
Or if you're really into it, you can buy each individual track for $1.29. I mean, that works too. If you're an idiot.
No, I've got Apple Music, so I can just stream it. There we go. I'm adding that to my library. Nice. Oh, I think I'm gonna go listen to this.
All right. Well, I'm going to play World of Warcraft.
Promise.
I guess. I don't know. Maybe.
Cool, cool. Well, craft some wars, man. Some Star
I will
Wars.
try to craft some Star Wars. I don't even. What?
I
Doesn't
I
make any sense.
I don't even know. I'm gonna quit while we're ahead.